Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our reading through the Tanak night of the 10th of December, 2025. Okay, we'll be reading out of the book of Joshua. We're reading out 5 chapters. We'll be reading chapters 11 through 15. We're going to read each chapter. We'll break it down, write it about it, and then get some feedback. Okay. Go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. Okay, we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen for those that want to support the channel and help it move along. That too will be greatly appreciated. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel for those that don't know. We deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanak being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior, and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, we don't subscribe to the New Testament, to JC, Paul, Church Fathers, none of that. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days, and also understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some current events, some need-to-know information, and then we'll open it up for anybody with questions, comments, dialogue, any testimonies. Okay, then we go to our topic for discussion, which is the hidden truth between the African pantheon and the Yahweh pantheon. Kind of be bouncing off our the topic that we had last night. Okay, we're gonna intertwine that. Okay, and our scripture reading, like I said, will be out of the book of Joshua. We'll be reading out of Joshua chapters 11 through 15. Read and break it down. Then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do. We'll read that scripture, write it about it, and then we'll get some feedback on it. Then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto Thee. Therefore we come before Thee at this hour, seeking Thy face, looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before Thee as Thy servants David, Solomon, and Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before Thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. Okay, for we desire to walk after Thee, O Lord, keep Your commandments and Your testimony and Your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by Your prophets. O Lord, allow Thy face to shine upon Thy people, and hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord, and hide not Thy face from us, for we need You so very much at this hour. Peace be unto You. Okay, so with that being said, read the Psalms right quick. Okay. 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 I'll read 46. Psalm 46, it says, God is our refuge and our strength. Okay. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah, there is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord. What desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh war to cease unto the ends of the earth. He breaketh the low and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariots in the fire. Be still and know that I am God, and I will be exalted among the heathen, and I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Okay, that was Psalms 46. This God is our refuge and our strength. Okay, anybody got any comments on that? Remarks? Okay, with that being said, we go to our current events. Okay.
Are now on high alert, and for good reason. The Trump administration is continuing this potential attack on Venezuela, trying to oust Nicolas Maduro. But according to President Trump's former national security advisor, she says that the United States should be prepared for a retaliation. I'll explain more in just a moment, but look at this. It says, violent retaliation against U.S. citizens possible in Venezuela conflict. She says, we don't know all of what has come into the country during the Biden administration. As a result, in the Trump administration, multiple officials have said this exact same thing, and previously some Biden officials said the same thing as well, that we don't know where the threats are coming from. We don't know. And over the past several weeks, we've seen multiple different threats, some of which were actually carried out, others that were thwarted before they ever got started, which is good. The problem is the American people are more concerned now than ever before. Now, I want to read a little bit of this article. It says right here, the Trump administration has been unleashing deadly strikes on the cartel's drug boats from Venezuela in the Caribbean for months. Now, the president is saying he will take the fight to Venezuela proper. In an interview with Fox News Digital, the former senior Trump national security advisor, Victoria Coates, said that though she believes the president has sweeping authority to carry out these operations, there is a possibility that cartels will attempt to retaliate by targeting U.S. citizens for terror activities. Now, here's what you need to keep in mind. It doesn't matter if President Trump has authority to conduct these strikes or not. If we are seeing these strikes are hurting the cartel business, then the cartel could actually use U.S. citizens as a way to get back at President Trump. I want to read you one last thing. It says Coates, who serves as vice president of the Heritage Foundation, Catherine and Shelby Colum Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy, that's a big one, pointed to the deadly shooting by an Afghan national of 2 National Guard soldiers just blocks from the White House during Thanksgiving week. Now, I did a video on that, obviously discussed that, but the concern right now is things are only ramping up. And just today, okay, this is what we learned. Watch this. It says, in defiant flyover, U.S. F-18 fighter jets enter Venezuelan airspace for 40 minutes. Okay, you can see the route right here. I'll zoom in so you can see a little bit better. There you go. This is the route that it took. Okay, the 2 fighter jets came in, okay, and they swooped around for about 40 minutes. It has been confirmed by the U.S. Navy. They did confirm that it was coming from, it was conducted from the USS Gerald R. Ford, okay, out of the Caribbean. That is what they said. Now, that doesn't sound like it is President Trump trying to de-escalate the situation. According to reports, what this may have done and what the Trump administration is trying to do is to get Venezuela to fire the first weapon. Okay? It could, whatever missile, whatever it may be, to fire that weapon first, because then that would give the United States the sweeping authority. There'd be no questions asked that yes, the United States could then retaliate against Venezuela. Now, we are not trying to go after the Venezuelan people. We're trying to oust Nicolas Maduro and his regime. That's it. I want to show you something. Look at this right here. It says, President Trump doesn't rule out troops in Venezuela. Says that President Nicolas Maduro's days are numbered. Says in a wide-ranging interview with Politico, Trump also said Russia has the upper hand in negotiations over its war with Ukraine and called European leaders weak. Okay. Now, here's what you need to keep in mind. The Trump administration has been using pressure to try to oust Nicolas Maduro for over a month now. It hasn't happened. According to reports early on, the Trump administration thought this would be a little bit easier than it currently is, because if you put a lot of pressure on him, and then the citizens are putting pressure on him, then other countries are putting pressure on him, and then you got Russia, Iran, and China all stating that they are not going to help Venezuela at this time. That means they're on their own. They do not have the capability to withstand any pressure or an attack from the United States. Now, with that said, where do we go from here? Well, I want to show you something. It says, the Trump administration quietly builds plans for what would happen if Maduro were ousted in Venezuela. Now, what exactly are those plans? Well, I want to read some to you. It says the plans are being quietly drafted and closely held at the White House, the sources said. They include multiple options for what U.S. action could look like to fill the power vacuum and stabilize the country if Maduro voluntarily leaves as part of a negotiated departure, or is forced into leaving the U.S. after U.S. strikes on targets inside Venezuela or other direct action. Now, according to a report just this morning, it was stating that Nicolas Maduro was negotiating with President Trump and that he would like to leave, but he's being forced to stay. Now, if he leaves, he's concerned for his life. He's concerned for the lives of his children, his wife, and some other high-level officials. And so what he has asked is he wants the United States to protect himself, his child, and his wife, as well as multiple high-level officials. And the Trump administration said, no, we will protect you, your child, your wife. We'll make sure that you guys are protected and you get out of here. That's it. He said, okay, according to reports, that was acceptable, but he wanted to choose who is going to take his place, which is essentially the vice president. And the White House said, no, absolutely not. Okay, those are the reports that we got this morning. With that said, where does that take us? Well, here's the thing. The Trump administration is putting more and more pressure on Nicolas Maduro. According to reports, and again, we don't know for sure, but the United States Senate is going to vote to actually slow President Trump down, where he cannot do and plan these different attacks and go and try to oust Nicolas Maduro. That's according to reports. That vote is going to happen next week. So according to the same reports, there's a very high likelihood that President Trump is going to put so much pressure on Nicolas Maduro and Venezuela over the course of this week. And
okay, anybody heard anything on that in feedback?
Shalom, everyone. I've heard a little bit about it. He was at the round table talking about what's going on, but the young lady that he gave the Nobel Peace Prize to, she would be next in line, and she praises him as being a good person, a good president. So I believe he's doing this so she would be the one taking over Venezuela.
Okay.
And that was in play for a while. You mentioned back in October about her, and they were saying that he probably would help her out, and that's something that he can help her out by having him, leave, and she can become it, and then that will be an ally for him as he helped her. Shalom.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay, here we go.
Health officials are reporting a third infant has died from pertussis in the past 12 months. The state has seen a significant spike in cases with more than 560 identified this year. Officials are urging everyone, especially pregnant women and infants, to get vaccinated to prevent further spread.
Yeah, so under this new leadership, who should be getting tested? And we have no basically guide anymore, right? We already been talking about this, Dr. Brown.
I mean, hello, I am Dr. Ida Brown.
And I'm Dr. Sonia Sloan.
And we are AYA, Black and Brown Women Disruptors in Healthcare and Beyond.
Yeah, so today we are still frustrated as usual. Dr. Brown didn't do her normal sigh as we lead in, but we're talking about outbreaks, the kind that Dr. Brown and I have not seen and no one should be seeing in this year of 2025. Dr. Brown?
You know, and it's not new viruses, right? These are old diseases that have been revived from the dead. And our babies are paying the price, and they're paying that price first. You know, Kentucky has now lost 3 infants. There are 3 less babies on this earth due to whooping cough, which is preventable. And it's all because they're too young to be fully vaccinated. The protection actually depended on the adults around them. And this isn't isolated. More than 25,000 cases have been reported nationwide this year, well above pre-pandemic levels, and climbing towards the worst outbreaks we've seen in over a decade. And again, these are preventable diseases. And this is loss. These losses are devastating. And that's especially for newborns who cannot fight the infection on their own. Let's roll the clip.
They're just kind of heavy. There we go. Okay. It's okay. Okay, take a breath in, honey.
I mean, I get chills literally watching as a parent and seeing your child struggle. That is what we call whooping cough. If you've never heard it before, that's when it's also known as pertussis. It's a very contagious respiratory illness that's caused by this bacteria called Bordetella pertussis. And the bacteria basically attacks within the lungs the hair fibers. It looks like hair fibers. We call them cilia. And it releases these toxins that damages the airways and causes swelling. And so therefore, babies struggle to cough and to breathe, and this is an illness that is so dangerous for them because they don't know what's going on with their bodies, and even young children, you know, may not know, and if parents have never seen it or heard it, they don't know to get help sooner. And so several deaths have already been recorded this year in Louisiana, Washington State, and Kentucky. And officials in Kentucky said the 3 infants that were all unvaccinated basically died of whooping cough in the past 12 months. And that's the first since 2018 that this has happened. And in overall, this is the highest number of cases since 2012, you guys. And Dr. Brown, they said that they had 566 cases in 2025 so far. We're not even at the end of the year. And at the same time, we have New Jersey. Their ERs are now being overrun with RSV and flu, and New York has flu alerts that are going out, a huge spike in cases to the point where there's been warnings to go out. Let's roll this clip.
In tonight's Health Watch, forget about being jolly. 'Tis the season for the flu. At least that's what experts are saying. New York and New Jersey already seeing an uptick in flu cases and also hospitalizations. And as Andrew Ramos reports, with the holidays right around the corner, it's bound to only get worse.
And I feel like I eat healthy, I exercise, get plenty of rest.
They say having a positive outlook is the key to success, but when it comes to the flu, you may want to have a backup plan.
Every year we get the flu shot in my family, I think, and obviously it's helpful.
Getting the flu shot may be more critical than ever this season as a new mutated strain of the H3N2 flu virus is raising concerns around the globe. That strain known to pack a punch.
Over in Japan, it was an early, and it looks like a little bit of a harsh flu season, and there's a mutated form of the flu virus.
Locally, flu cases and hospitalizations are steadily rising, where New York City reported 2,400 cases this week, a 78% surge from the week before. In New Jersey, flu test positivity rose to 0.7%, mostly impacting patients 65 and older.
Okay.
Appointed by who? HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said they didn't have enough time to review this proposal language, so they wanted to wait. And so they voted on it today, and they voted against new babies having a hepatitis B vaccine unless the mother had had some type of risk or did have Hep B. They're wanting to put it back in the parents' hands. But what about the communities? What about the rest of the environment, the rest of us that also exposes people? So every year, this panel, again, is going to decide on what vaccines can or can't be. And again, they're handpicked anti-vaccine activisms. These people do not care about babies dying right now. And so the other thing we need to worry about is the ACIP's recommendations usually affect health insurance coverage. So if they say no, don't pay for it, then people are now going to have to pay out of pocket. People that can't afford to pay out of pocket. And that's how deadly childhood diseases continue to spread. And so experts are saying they are no longer credible. This committee that the CDC has appointed aren't credible. We can't trust them. And that's what's scary. In fact, one of the quotes from Peter Hortes from the Baylor College of Medicine says, the new version of the ACIP has been stacked with anti-vaccine activists who either have no interest in the science or no ability to understand it. Damn, that is hard, because even the couple of people that said, we want and hope that you basically take responsibility for this, we know that's not going to happen. So health surveillance systems are being scaled back. We're no longer tracking RSV hospitalizations, localized flu spikes, or even measles spreads, right? We've seen this playbook before. Donald Trump's administration, their data is altered, it's delayed, it's blocked, because whenever the reality made by leadership looks unprepared, they basically say it doesn't exist. And so the fact is, the numbers are making them look bad. And the strategy is just stop counting. You guys that have not seen public health get worse, we're going to see it get worse. And we're being gaslit by the current administration. Dr. Brown, what are your thoughts?
So the real public health threat here is autocracy, right? So autocracy doesn't start when your leaders tell you what to think. It starts when they decide what you are allowed to know. And if you don't measure disease, you can't prove the neglect. If you can't track your outbreaks, you can't demand action. And so with no data, there's no accountability. And that's how leaders can stand at a podium and claim everything is fine, while ERs overflow and infants die from preventable infections, not because medicine failed, but because the government hid their truth. So to the public, it becomes no data, no crisis. And that's not transparency, that's control, right? So here's the twist. Control isn't government power over people, right? Real control is people having the information to protect themselves. Control is knowing that the water you drink isn't quietly contaminated by a big donor to the current administration, right? Control is formula that won't poison a baby. Control is trusting everyday products aren't laced with asbestos, a regulation that was just lifted. Control is raising a family without needing a medical degree to avoid being harmed. So public health isn't big government. Public health is the right to not be poisoned or deceived and hidden on purpose. So when a government controls information instead of disease, even the virus, a virus, whooping cough, anything, measles becomes a weapon of power. And
okay, any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about that?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Shalom, everybody. No, sir, I haven't heard about the whooping cough going around lately, but she did mention in there, it sounds like they're just pushing for vaccines again. Not that the disease or whatever isn't a real threat, but it seems like that's always the goal, to get people vaccinated as early as possible.
Exactly, yeah. And then they want to make sure they put an alert out there that you know, so you won't be caught off guard what's coming.
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, so,
Yes, sir. Shalom. Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. I've known about the whooping cough because I've had 3 children and nephews and nieces, and it's when you're pregnant, they make sure that the baby doesn't go around anyone who's older and things like that. But also Robert Kennedy, the one who's over this um, negotiation about who gets what, he's wanting babies not to be vaccinated, and he was claiming that certain vaccinations make birth defects like being in retardation and things like that. So he's really campaigning against um, children being vaccinated. And then he has this other vaccination that he wants certain children to, age of these kids to get it. And yes, they have put out so many viruses last year, the beginning of last year, the monkeypox, the saying that polio is back, and all these things for people to run and get vaccinated. But they have yet to explain why these things are happening all of a sudden with these babies.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom, everyone.
Go-
So, a lot of these infections, they've been around for a while. Um, like she was saying, the whooping cough, or polio, or whatever these different infections. But it seems like they put out these infections, they just mysteriously start to spread again, and then all of a sudden they got the answer, you know, oh, we have this new vaccine, or we have this that we want to give to the babies, or just people in general. So I mean, I don't really be trusting it, because it seems like they create these things are just being created out of nowhere all of a sudden. And then now they feel like, if they say, oh, we have this new vaccine coming out, they want people to rush down and get it, And so I just feel like it's just something that I really have a hard time trusting. I know some vaccines probably do work for people, but a lot of these things are causing, well, they're not saying for sure that it could be causing some of the kids to have what is called I can't think of it right now. um my mind just went blank, but it's causing other things to happen um to kids. And I think that's why is it Robert Kennedy?
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
where he's saying, I think that's why he's saying that, that he doesn't agree with some of the vaccines. That's what I'm thinking. But that's all I had to say about that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Shalom, Brother Leonard. Shalom, everyone. I kind of agree with Mika a little bit when it comes to giving these babies these vaccinations, right? 1 minute every year, we can say it's always something new that has came back into play, right? That's because they've came up with something new. And when you continue to give these babies these different shots at a certain age, they say, okay, they need this and that. Then once they turn 6 months, they're going to need this and that. It's like every 3 to 6 months after they're born, they have to get certain shots, right? So I was watching a video the other day about this. So we got to go back to what our grandmothers used to do with us, right? We see a lot of women that have babies, they're out there with them early, their heads are not covered, all of those type of things we have to be mindful of, so that they're not having to go to the emergency room to get all of these shots, because it's the things that's in there that's affecting them, that's making them hyper. Then they're saying they have what is that, ADHD or whatever, they all hyper in school and all that. It's because what's in these vaccinations that they're giving the children. I don't want to talk too much, because tomorrow I'm going to cover that a little bit, but we got to be mindful of those things, because the baby's airways are very small, so mucus is easily to be built in those airways, which causes the whooping cough. So we're thinking it's just a mild cold, they may have a little runny nose, sneezing or whatever. So when you first notice that, you got to start treating that, not always running to the emergency room, which I don't think is really good.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna go to my need to know information. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on now with this. Ever since they had this decade of people with African descent, part 2. Check this out. They're giving us all these signals.
What happens when over 200,000 Americans decide to leave the wealthiest nation on earth and return to Africa, the very land their ancestors were stolen from 400 years ago? What if I told you the American dream is not dead? It's just being rebuilt somewhere else across the Atlantic, on African soil. And here's the part that will shake you. This story, this massive migration happening right now in 2025, was written down thousands of years ago in the pages of Scripture. It was prophesied, it was predicted, and it's unfolding before our eyes. But there's something they never taught you in Sunday school. There's something missing from every history book you ever read. A truth so explosive, so controversial, that entire systems of power were built to hide it. If the people in the Bible, the chosen people, the Israelites, were not who you've been told they were, would you want to know? If the captivity, the slavery, the suffering described in Deuteronomy chapter 28 was not about ancient Egypt, but about something that happened on slave ships crossing the ocean, would that change everything? Here's the question that should keep you up at night. Why are more than 220,000 people, educated people, professionals, families, retirees, choosing to leave America right now and move to Ghana, South Africa, Rwanda, and Senegal? What do they know that the rest of us are just starting to figure out? This is not about running away. This is about coming home. And when you understand what home really means, when you see the receipts from scripture, from history, from archaeology, from DNA tests, you will never see the world the same way again. They told you Africa was the dark continent. They told you it needed saving. They told you the people there had no history, no civilization, no glory. But what if that was the lie? What if the truth is that mighty kingdoms rose and fell in Africa long before Europe ever laid eyes on it? What if Cushite pharaohs ruled Egypt? What if Moses himself married a woman from Cush, a black woman, and God defended that marriage when his own sister criticized it? You've seen the pictures. You've seen Jesus with blonde hair and blue eyes hanging in churches across America. But the man who walked the dusty roads of Judea, who was born in Bethlehem, theological cover, they needed a way to make it seem like God approved. So they twisted scripture. They invented doctrines. They rewrote history. They painted Jesus white, Moses white, the disciples white. They erased every black face from the Bible. And for 400 years, that lie held. But now, in 2025, the lie is crumbling. The truth is coming out, and it's unstoppable. Because DNA doesn't lie, archaeology doesn't lie, ancient textes don't lie, and the Bible itself, when read honestly, doesn't lie. The people who were stolen from Africa and brought to America in chains are the same people described in Deuteronomy 28, scattered, sold, afflicted, but promised a return. And that return is happening now. This is not about hating anyone. This is not about blaming anyone alive today for the sins of the past. This is about truth. This is about identity. This is about fulfilling prophecy. God's plan includes all nations. Galatians 3:28 says, there is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. Important, protect your mental health. Because once you see this, once you know this, you can't unknow it. And it's going to change how you see everything. Church is going to feel different. School is going to feel different. Work is going to feel different. America is going to feel different. You might feel angry. You might feel grief. You might feel betrayed. That's normal. That's part of waking up. But don't let it consume you. Channel it. Use it. Let it fuel your purpose, not your bitterness. Talk to people who understand. Find community, whether that's online, in your city, or on the continent. Find people who are on the same journey, because this is too big to carry alone. And finally, pray. Ask God to show you your next step. Ask Him to reveal your identity. Ask Him to guide you to your purpose. Because this is not just about history. This is about destiny. You were born for such a time as this. You were born to be part of the return, whether that means physically moving to Africa or supporting those who do.
Okay. Anybody got anything on that? Any feedback? Okay. We'll open it up for anybody with any questions, comments about anything they heard on this line over the last couple of days or doing their research. Anybody got anything?
Shalom, brother Leonard. In the lesson, well, I'll say that question, but I was watching the old lesson where you were talking about where Hanukkah came from. Excuse me, and I didn't get to finish the video. But I remember from watching it in the past, you kind of had mentioned that maybe it had something to do with the Maccabees. I think that's what you were saying in the video. It was
Right. Yeah. You got two. A lot of people don't know it, but you got two menorahs, two candlesticks.
Right.
And if you don't know what a candlestick is, it's the stick. It's the go in the Holy of Holies. It's the golden candlestick. But the thing is, they got two of them. Like I was telling you, when the Greeks came, you get a two of everything because they synchronized. And when they came on the scene with Alexandria, every country they went to, they synchronized their religion and their gods with the gods that was in that country. So, like I said, you got two Buddhas. You got the Buddha with the little beady hair, and then you got the Buddha now, Mahayana Buddha. Greece synchronized it, and so that's why you got two books. You got the Old Testament, which is our records, and you got the New Testament, which is, they synchronized it, Hellenized it. And so it's the same thing with that menorah. You got the actual menorah got 7 branches. The middle branch is the Sabbath day, and the other 3 branches off each side is the 6 days of creation. And the 7th day he rested. That's what the menorah represents. So after these in the book of Maccabees, because of supposedly the candle, the olive oil they had ran out, and that menorah is supposed to be lit, constantly lit all the time. So they couldn't find no olive oil, but the menorah still kept burning. So that's where they're coming from. So because of that, they added two more branches to the candlestick, which is Hanukkah. And like I say, that's abomination. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that comes from. But a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They got those people that's over there now got 9 branches on the candlestick, which is crazy. And then we see another one with the Sabbath. Got 2 Sabbaths. Now we got the Sabbath is on the 7th day. 6 days you work, the 7th day you rest. Now they got Sunday, the Sabbath. Got 2 Sabbaths. And all that is evidence to show you what these people done and what they're capable of doing. They ain't gonna do right. They always altering and tweaking and doing everything to wherever they go. And all those right there, those are just small examples. You know what I'm saying? So does that make any sense?
Right. Yes, sir. And
Like
so,
2
brother,
temples.
I'm sorry.
No, I said 2 temples. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. And 2 temples. And then who are the Maccabees, brother Leonard? They're not Israelites, correct?
No, those are Edomites. When you go and understand, like I was saying about, I was breaking down the word Edomah. So that's a word that came from Esau and Judah. And so when I was telling you about how the Lord of hosts is prophesying in Jeremiah that he ain't talking to us. He's talking to our forefathers in the land of Judea before Nebuchadnezzar came. That's who he's talking to. And he told them they was out of order. They were sinning. They were breaking his law. We know about the sabbatical law that they weren't keeping the seventh year, the year of release. They weren't keeping that. So he said he's going to bring Nebuchadnezzar. He's going to bring a scourge from the north. That scourge is Nebuchadnezzar. And how he set it up, it's in the book of Judah. He sent letters out to all the countries, or the Moab, all the countries that's in Jeremiah. The Lord of hosts got a problem with. He sent letters to all those countries, Moab, Ammon, Hagarenes, Philistine, all those people. He sent letters to them to come and help him. He's going to fight with the Assyrians. And then they disregarded his letters because Nebuchadnezzar was a nobody, and the Syrian army was so powerful, they had no idea he was going to win. So they spurned it. Nobody sent no soldiers. Nobody came to help him. But Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord of hosts, was with him. When the war broke out, Michael and those 6 angels was with Nebuchadnezzar. And just like he destroyed those 885,000 soldiers that came to the gates of Israel, he destroyed the Assyrian army, him and those angels. And Nebuchadnezzar won. Then now Nebuchadnezzar got a problem with everybody that didn't come help him. That's the scourge that he set up. Nebuchadnezzar came to Jerusalem and he destroyed it, like they said, because of their sins. Okay?
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay, you got anything else on that?
I'm not sure. I'm good. I'm done with that line.
Okay, yeah. Anybody else got anything else? Any questions, comments, any dialogue? Yeah, so I'm gonna get back on based off of that information right there. What I was talking about last night was what people have to understand is that all this information is coming out now about black gods because of the information is being revealed now. Like the Lord of hosts said in Isaiah, he's going to pour his spirit out on us. In Isaiah 44, verses 1 through 6, he's going to pour his spirit out in the last days, and the knowledge is going to increase, and we're going to start waking up to our true self, and like willows by watercourse. Well, that's happening. We know that these angels is black. We know that the Lord of hosts is black. Yahweh, we know everybody's black. So now that that information is coming out, now these Esau, like I said, him being super sharp, especially when it comes to knowledge, we saw what he done with the New Testament. Now he's trying to redirect everybody back to those gods that was in Genesis chapter 6. And so if you know that Michael and all of them are black, we know these other angels is black. But they want you to think that these righteous angels and what they done was righteous, but they're not righteous. And so that's why I was playing the video I played last night. I'm gonna play a little bit of that because I got a couple more videos before we start reading our 5 chapters. So I'm gonna play a little bit of it just to get the tone back. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this video right here is like I said, the way they worded it, same way they did in the New Testament. Black gods before Yahweh. So we're gonna break that down, but let's listen to a little bit of it.
Actually want and will use.
Okay.
There were other black gods who were erased from history. Prepare yourself, because what you will hear now can shake everything you believe about faith, spirituality, and the origin of God. Today's theme is not only controversial, it is explosive. Black gods before Yahweh.
Divisive. It's Edomite.
The secret that religion has hid for millennia. For centuries, the history of spirituality has been written, rewritten, and manipulated by hands interested in erasing the ancestral roots of entire civilizations. And one of
so what they doing is they going back before Abraham came on the scene, before Israel became a nation, all that. And so when you understand that, you got the right information. You're going. It's before. If you're going back to the gods before that, you're going to the fallen angels. In Genesis chapter 6. That's what he's talking about, but he's trying to make it out as if they righteous and the action that they took was righteous. Right? So let's listen to a little bit of it.
These deeper manipulations involves the replacement and silencing of ancient black gods, worshipped long before Yahweh emerges as a central figure in the Hebrew tradition.
Genesis 6. Like I said, they black. Michael, Gabriel, all them black. They black. Okay.
Few dared to talk about it, but the evidence is there. Hidden in forgotten sacred texts, ignored archaeological inscriptions, and spiritual traditions buried by time and doctrine. Why were these gods erased? What has the traditional religion tried to hide at all costs? Who were these black deities, and why did they represent a threat to the dominant theological system? These are the questions that most people never ask themselves, or even imagine they should do. But today, here in this video, we will explore the depths of this mystery. Let us travel to a long time before the formation of Judaism, even before the name Yahweh was pronounced for the first time.
So and they're going to take you to Genesis. They're going to take you to Genesis chapter 6. They took out of the canon. They take you to Enoch, to those 200 angels, right?
Let's find that black spirituality not only existed, it was central, powerful, and influential. Imagine this. Millennia in African and Mesopotamian lands, ancient peoples connected with deities who had dark skin, African features, and represented wisdom, power, and the creation of the universe. These black gods were at the center of the first spiritual beliefs of humanity, but as empires grew and religions were consolidated, a new narrative was built. A narrative that transformed God into a white European being, far from the original image of the early creators. Have you ever wondered why almost all the images of God, angels, and even Jesus were closed throughout history? Have you noticed how biblical story seems to have been shaped to erase the references to
So I don't know if anybody on here really know about that. I talked about it several times. So I mentioned certain movies like now I can't think of the name of the movie, but movies when they trying to show you alien movies about the engineers, and you always hear Zachariah Sitchin in his book. They talk about the engineers. So these engineers is they saying they the ones that formed the heavens and the earth and all that. They the ones came and made humans, enhanced humans and all that. These engineers, which is these fallen angels, 200 fallen angels. They don't they exclude Yahweh and those the righteous angels and heaven, righteous heaven and all that. They trying to take you back to these fallen angels, but they trying to take you back in an Afrocentric way, because that's what so many of us are at now. We already know we was hoodwinked, but now they coming with this like I said, AI with this Afrocentric thing, but it's a trap. It's a booby trap. Okay. So anybody got any comments on that before we move forward? I got another video. I'm just kind of bringing you up the part from last night. Anybody got anything on that? Okay, so here we go. keep in mind, these are 200 angels in Ezekiel. I mean, in Book of Enoch. Here we go.
My energy bill dropped from 150.
So, like I said,
as inner revelation.
Don't get caught up in the hoorah. Yeah, let's go. Okay.
Didn't begin in Genesis. What if everything we've learned about the origins of the earth, of humanity, of spirituality were incomplete, or worse, intentionally erased? What if there existed an ancient narrative, much older than the book of Genesis, where African gods not only created civilizations, but...
Like I said, you constantly talking about, you taking you to Africa, but all of a sudden you're going to go to our forefathers, Enoch and all of them, the Melchizedeks. Yeah, no, but he's trying to make you think that this is all about Africa.
But walked among men, ruled powerful kingdoms, and left a warning that was ignored. Today, you will hear a story that has been hidden for millennia. A story that challenges everything traditional Western theology has taught us. Before Adam, before Eve, before Eden, there was a golden age ruled by powerful entities who came from the stars or emerged from the earth itself. According to the oldest African myths, they shaped the destiny of humanity, taught profound spiritual wisdom, and, upon their departure, left coded messages for future generations. Are you ready to discover the world before Genesis?
So let's look at that right quick. He said they came down, and we know why they got cut off. Yahweh cut them off. He used Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael and cut them off, bound them. That's what the book of Enoch tells. But he just said they left coded messages for us to, to find the information, coded messages. Well, that's what Nimrod doing. That's what Nimrod doing when he's looking for a plane in the land of Shinar. He's looking, that's where the information was at. They left the coded messages, and he found it. That's it. These emerald tablets and all that. That's what that is. So ain't nothing good about it. Okay.
Few have the courage to undertake this journey. This is because this truth involves African civilizations that were deliberately silenced, mythologies that were labeled paganism, even though they contained elements identical to biblical texts and even older ones. People such as the Dogons, the Kemetics of ancient Egypt, the Yoruba, the Bantu, the Akan, all report the presence of gods with supernatural powers, dominion over the elements of creation, knowledge of the cosmos, and a direct role in the formation of Earth as we know it. Why were these stories erased? Why did we never hear in school that the Dogons knew of the star Sirius B before modern science? Why is it not mentioned that the Netris of Egypt had names and functions similar to the biblical angels, with nearly identical hierarchies and purposes? And why were so many texts, scrolls, and writings burned, destroyed, or labeled heresy? Perhaps because these stories reveal something uncomfortable. The story of creation didn't begin in Israel. It began in Africa. And the African gods knew this. They came first. They built first. They warned first, and then they disappeared, or were erased from history. But they left signs. Some of these signs still exist in the rocks of Ethiopia, others in the symbols of ancient Benin. Some are engraved in the oral histories of griots, guardians of ancient wisdom, and many are hidden in codes within the Bible itself, waiting to be revealed by those with eyes to see and ears to hear. In this video, you'll delve into a universe few dare explore. We'll discover who these African gods really were, what they taught, how they shaped the first human civilizations, and most importantly, what was the great warning they left? A spiritual, cosmic, and existential alert that resonates to this day. Prepare to connect disconnected dots, to uncover buried truths, and to question everything you thought you knew about the origins of humanity. But be careful. Once you see this, you will never look at the Bible or history the same way again. So before we move on to the next chapter of this ancient revelation, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about discovering that a world existed before Genesis? Have you ever heard of African gods as creators of the earth? Or is this shaking up everything you've believed until now? Write in the comments. Your opinion is fundamental to this channel. Let's believe.
So like I was saying, I mentioned this before. I don't know if anybody can recall it or not, but they don't tell you in Genesis chapter 6 and the book of Enoch, they don't tell you, they make it a point not to tell you those 200 angels made a pact on Mount Hermon, and they had been watching the women, and they made a pact on Mount Hermon, and then they left from Mount Hermon and went and engaged with the women. So my point is this, they don't tell you where they went. But I'm gonna tell you where they went. They went to Africa. That's where they went, because we know the giant women was all over Africa. Giants was all over Africa. So when they left Mount Hermon, they went to Africa, Egypt. Okay.
They were recognized as real, powerful entities with a spiritual presence, creative energy, and direct influence over the cycles of nature, the birth of civilizations, and the destiny of the human soul. Unlike the Western Genesis, which begins with the creation of the world by a single God who speaks to chaos and everything is formed, African myths convey a much deeper complexity, a vibrant cosmos full of living forces where each spiritual entity has a function, a mission, and a direct connection with human beings. Long before Moses wrote Genesis, before the Torah was organized and the Hebrew texts were canonized, African civilizations spoke of gods who created the universe, who parted the waters, who molded human beings from clay, who came down to earth to teach, correct, and guide. The similarities are so evident that it becomes impossible to ignore.
Play that again. Okay, check it out.
Genesis, which begins with the creation of the world by a single God who speaks to chaos and everything is formed. African myths convey a much deeper complexity, a vibrant cosmos full of living forces where each spiritual entity has a function, a mission, and a direct connection with human beings. Long before Moses wrote Genesis, before the Torah was organized and the Hebrew texts were canonized, African civilizations spoke of gods who created the universe, who parted the waters, who molded human beings from clay, who came down to earth to teach.
Came down to the earth to teach. Ain't that what Enoch tell us? That what Azazel done, what he taught? Some Jaza, what he taught? Come on.
Correct and guide. The similarities are so evident that it becomes impossible to ignore the possibility that the biblical accounts may actually be later, adapted versions of this much older knowledge. One of the most intriguing examples is the worldview of the Dogon people of Mali. They have an ancient mythology that speaks of celestial beings called Nomos, who came from the stars, more specifically from Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye, and whose existence was only proven by modern science in the 20th century. How could the Dogon have known of the presence of an invisible celestial body with such precision if they hadn't received this knowledge from some extraordinary source? According to oral tradition, the Nomos descended in a shining ship, bringing wisdom, teaching about the universe, life, and spiritual cycles. They were entities half fish, half human, and after fulfilling their mission...
Half fish. Okay, and notice right here about the second I said on the video, I played Exodus, second Exodus. At the end of it, they had UFOs came. This is where the Hebrews getting this from. Came in shiny objects. Okay.
They returned to the waters or the sky, but
they can't turn to the waters. Remember Yahweh, Lord of hosts, what he did in the beginning. Yahweh created the heavens and the earth, and the Lord of hosts moved upon the waters. Okay.
They left behind prophecies that still resonate within the African people. In ancient Egypt, or Kemet, as the Africans themselves called this land, the Neterus, who would later be misinterpreted as pagan gods, had specific roles within the creation and maintenance of world balance. Ma'at represented order, truth, and cosmic justice.
Ladies over 50.
Any comments so far? Anybody got anything?
Shalom, everyone. As we were listening to it, I picked up on a couple of words. Like at the beginning, he said, and they departed, building us up to what they said about the ships, from, say, coming down on spaceships. So as he's speaking, and as I'm listening to him, and the words that he is using is more or less, he's going to say they were aliens and they came down and they're the one who started it. But like you're breaking it down, what he's saying far as biblical wise, but he's going through the scientific way of speaking on what's happening.
Right. Like I said, when you go back and you go to these movies, they're showing you, when you watch these movies, which is Esau behind all of this, that it was engineers. That everything they're showing you in Genesis, they're saying it was engineers. These engineers came to the earth and created the earth, and they made man human. They enhanced humans and all that, but it's these fallen angels. Okay.
The word, just as the God of Genesis.
Somebody got something?
Yes, I just wanted to say, I'm a little bit familiar with the about the Dogon tribe and the Nomos.
Right.
When I read upon it, it's basically like they trying to say that these beings that came here, they gave them information that they weren't able to see. They didn't have the technology to know about the galaxy, basically.
Right.
And these people that our beings or whatever that was like half fish or whatever with the scales on it.
Right.
They eventually took part in one of them like sacrificed itself, and then they ate it or whatever. I don't know if it's like a half fish, a half man, whatever it was. But it's a lot of stuff that it's kind of weird if you read up on it. But the beings and stuff that they saw, they tried to emulate, and they would wrap their babies. Some of the Africans will wrap their babies' heads when they first born, so that it would get like this cone shape.
Right.
They had to try to emulate, the way that they that these beings that they said that came to the earth or whatever. I guess, but then I don't know. It's a lot. It's kind of confusing, and I think that's the way that they want people to be confused, so they don't know which way to go, and that's why we have to ask, and have use discernment and ask God to show us the right, correct way to go, because it's a lot of information that we don't get correct, teachers of, and that's why I don't understand why I know the traditional way we was taught when we went to church would be like the King James version or something like that. But why can't we do studies from out of the Ethiopian Bible, like everybody get that Bible, or the how do you say it, Sinai Bible?
Yeah.
Because it's more information than those Bibles, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't understand why we can't learn out of those Bibles instead of going by King James version or something like that, because he got that demonology book that all this stuff about warlocks and witches and demons, and then he turn around and do the King James version, and when we following that in church, I don't understand that.
Right. You got to undo what's been done. You got to undo it. That's why the King James is the perfect Bible to do that. Because when you go to the Sefer Bible, King James ain't in there. I mean, where it's not not the way that he done it with the King James, the English part of it. And that's where we at. We dealing with English. So to undo all that, you gotta use the King James. You can go and get the Sefer Bible and have it, but to rightly divide and break all it down, like I tell people all the time, you got all these so-called Hebrew scholars talking about if you got to go read the Hebrew in order to understand this and the you got to go deal with the Masoretic. When the Lord Host came and scooped me up, I ain't have to deal with that. I'm dealing with English, and I found him in the scriptures, but they supposed to be dealing with King James, dealing with the Hebrew and all that, and they still ain't found the Lord Host. They still fumbling with JC. Well, that's how that works. So I went over and over that to try to figure out the best way to assist people in waking them up, and it's with the King James, because that's what they use to hoodwink you. You think you have problems now with people, you start trying to, well, especially with what I'm doing and breaking it down, and then you trying to deal with them, and they got a Sefer Bible. They don't have no foundation. You gotta get the foundation, and then you can go to the Sefer Bible. You can have it on the side, but in order to undo what these people have done, you gotta deal with the King James Bible. Okay. Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
So the King James Bible basically give us the evidence of what is not true. So you have something to compare it with to back up whatever someone says or how they want you to believe in a false God, which in the I believe it was in Genesis, some chapter, I can't remember, but it says you are going to be cursed, and as we are going to do as the Gentiles do, but we're going to come from under that curse or be eye opened. So in order to open your eyes, you got to see where you are and where they were and what's coming up to, what's coming in prophecy is going to happen. So yes, we need both. Need to get that foundation grounded, solid, so no one can shake your faith in what you're going to learn. Yes, sir.
Like right now, you got people that woke up right now, or half-ass waking up, but look what they're doing. Now they trying to suck them into these African gods. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I agree with y'all too, because you do need to be able to. It's just to be able to show it, and like you say, so we got to relearn all the stuff that we had been taught, unlearn. I'm sorry, and then relearn the correct way. It's just that when you read the King James version, right, or just read the Bible, period, the traditional Bible, then it's like parts of it missing, But then when you go read the book of like Enoch, I'm just saying it's information other places. And then when you read the book like Enoch, the book of Enoch, then you'll understand, some of the little missing spots in there. Just like even where a lot of these bad spirits and stuff come from. I never knew until I read the book of Enoch.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, y'all right though.
And then, like I was saying, another thing, even with the book of Enoch, okay, but look what's going on now with what we listen to right now. It's so much meat in these videos right here, but you have to have the foundation. So, an example, you just talking about this guy brought up the fish people, fish gods, right? So, what the hell the Pope have on? The outfit that the Pope have on? That's a fish. That's a fish. That's Dagon. When the staff, and if he got the fish head draped over him, that's Dagon. So you say, what are you talking about? He tell, like I said, these prophets and these men, these angels giving us the information. We just have to connect the dots. So he said, he destroyed everything on the earth. These angels were sleeping with fish. They were sleeping with animals on the earth. But when the flood came, it destroyed everything on the earth. on land. All these things these angels was doing with these creatures that's in the sea, the water ain't drowning them. As soon as the water receded and all that, they started showing up at the water. We see that in the book of Adam and Eve. He said they came up out the water and came up on the mountain up there where Jared was at. They dealing with the water. Like I said, like the Lord of Hosts doing in the very beginning. The Lord of Hosts, he manipulating the water. He opened the Red Sea up. He opened up the Euphrates. That's how you tie all that together. But he trying to make it like they righteous. They ain't righteous. But Enoch told you 200 of them came down from heaven. It's got to be them. And we ain't dealing with them now because he bound them. Okay.
I just got one more quick question.
Yeah.
I think it's 4 angels that's bound in the bottom of the Euphrates River, right? Are those 4 of the fallen angels?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to double check on that. Thanks.
Anybody got anything else?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right quick. Shalom, Brother Leonard. Just thinking, I think it was this morning or last night, we was just having this conversation about the different books and how people go and purchase all these different books and they're reading them, but they're not understanding them and connecting the dots because they don't have a foundation.
Exactly.
And you was just speaking on that, like I said, saying that a lot of people read things and then they come back and say, oh, I didn't know it was like that. Or, oh, I didn't understand that. They just have the books and they're reading them, but they're not understanding them. Just like the video you're playing about Genesis chapter 6, right? So if you didn't have a foundation, you would be totally somewhere else.
Exactly.
So once you have a basic understanding of things, then yes, for me, I know I didn't in the beginning. So if I went and purchased the book of Enoch first, because everybody was talking about it and I didn't have a foundation, I wouldn't have an understanding,
exactly.
of what was happening in the book of Enoch.
Right. And then you'll be dealing with it, but you'll be dealing with it discombobulated.
Right.
That's what so many people that came into this, they came into it the wrong way. And they went about it the wrong way.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
That's just, how things work, and how the Lord of Hosts works, and he brings things right to the table when it needs to be discussed. Exactly. Yes, right. Sir.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. And I thank you, Michelle, for saying about the Lord of Hosts. So when we get those books, or when we're studying or we're listening to others give us information, and we take time out to speak with the Lord of Hosts and ask him to direct us into where we need to go. And everything is for a reason, I believe. And you get it so you would be able to, once you get the foundation, everything start coming together. But we're not going to know everything. We're going to have to, because our forefathers probably have that same notion they knew of the Lord of Hosts. Some knew of him, and just that their time ended for us to pick up at that point and continue to move on and spread the good news and let others know about it. But like we said, if you have a shaky foundation, there's no way you're going to be able to build it up. But if we all join together, and like we're doing here on Prophets of the Waking, and thank you so much, Brother Leonard, for adhering to what the Lord of Hosts is giving you, that we're going to make this work. And hopefully the people that's on YouTube are listening get a foundation from what we're doing here. Thank you.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna play a little more of this. Nobody else have anything, right? So I'll play a little more of this. But like I said before, these videos in this day and time where we are right now, the way the Most High works, they set up for you to listen to them because you got the proper information, you got the proper foundation. So they like golden nugget. Somebody else will listen to them.
Have you seen this?
They won't get nothing out of it because they don't have no foundation. But here we go.
To get even more interesting, the Dogons, for example, preserve in their oral tradition an extremely specific account of the origin of humanity and the arrival of beings from another plane. According to them, long before the Bible existed, beings called nomos descended from the heavens in a shining structure that touched the earth like a shooting star. These beings brought with them knowledge of agriculture, astrology, writing, morality, justice, and also a map of the universe. Yes, you heard right, a complete star map with details that would only be proven thousands of years later by modern science. And here comes one of the most fascinating and inexplicable points of this entire mystery. The Dogons knew of the existence of Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to the naked eye and extremely difficult to detect even with modern telescopes. Not only did they know it existed, but they claimed it orbited the star Sirius A in a roughly 50-year cycle, exactly what astronomers have discovered in the last 100.
Did you hear that? 50-year cycle. That's 7 times 7, 49. And then a jubilee.
Years. Now tell me, how could a people living in the middle of Mali, without telescopes, without access to technology, without Western science, describe the existence of an invisible celestial body with such precision? The Dogons' answer is simple and straightforward. They didn't discover it, they were taught. And those who taught it were the nomos, who came from the stars with the mission of preparing Earth for humanity. They brought not only technical knowledge, but also spiritual knowledge. They spoke of the cycle of life, the importance of balance between nature and spirit, and left teachings that have survived for generations. They came in a time that was not recorded, in an era not recorded in any book of the great religions. They came before Genesis, and it wasn't just the Dogons. The Kemetics also divided history into eras called Zep Tepi, meaning the first time, a period so ancient that the pharaohs themselves recognized it as the time of the gods. Egyptian hieroglyphics record that Earth's first rulers were not human, but divine beings. Horus, Osiris, Thoth, Ptah, all reigned before the human lineage assumed the throne. It was a time when the gods walked the earth, established the first sacred cities, and taught mastery of the waters, the winds, and the stars. And then they departed, but not without leaving signs. These signs are everywhere, in ancient constructions that defy logic, in precise spiritual knowledge.
Check this out.
They spoke of
this big right here. But like I said, if you ain't in a certain place, you want to check it out.
The cycle of life, the importance of balance between nature and spirit, and left teachings that have survived for generations. They came in a time that was not recorded, in an era not recorded in any book of the great religions. They came before Genesis, and it wasn't just the Dogons. The Kemetics also divided history into eras called Zep Tepi, meaning the first time, a period so ancient that the pharaohs themselves recognized it as the time of the gods. Egyptian hieroglyphics record that Earth's first rulers were not human, but divine beings. Horus, Osiris, Thoth, Ptah, all reigned before the human lineage assumed the throne. It was a time when the gods walked the earth,
check this out,
established the first sacred cities, and taught mastery of the waters.
Taught mastery of the waters. Come on.
The winds and the stars, and then they departed, but not without leaving signs. These signs are everywhere, in ancient constructions that defy logic, in precise astronomical alignments in the pyramids, in records of constellations carved into stone thousands of years ago. in rituals that echo mathematical codes and universal patterns. And most strikingly, the dates of these records do not coincide with the biblical timeline. They are much, much earlier, some even 10,000 years before Abraham, the patriarch of the faith, was. Yes, you who are listening to me now, even if you don't know it, carry within you fragments of this sacred heritage. And when you think that came before it with.
We designed all of our wheels on L6 plate steel.
Or cursed. This is the reality for millions of people, and this didn't happen by chance. This was a project, a system designed to disconnect Black people from their spiritual essence. And what happens to a people who lose their connection with the divine? They lose their dignity, they lose their courage, they lose their brilliance, they accept oppression, they accept pain as normal. They accept being governed by religions that teach them to hate their roots. Therefore, restoring this knowledge is not just a mystical journey, it is an act of liberation. Because when a son of Africa discovers that his ancestors were not idol worshippers, but rather bearers of a deep, ancient, cosmic spirituality, he begins to rise from within. And this shakes the structures of today's world. Modern religion, as it is organized, does not tolerate multiple origins of truth. It was constructed to centralize everything in a single narrative, where an exclusive God speaks to an exclusive people, and all others are invited to submit or be condemned. But the spiritual...
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? We got one more video, we'll start reading. Okay, play a little bit of this and then I'll move on. So here we go right here. So he's saying,
what if African gods?
So it says that the way they're using this guy right here, this AI, these black gods, they're supposed to be righteous, right? And check this out.
More present in biblical history than you ever imagined.
Watch this.
What if everything we were taught about the God of the Bible is just a part of a much older, much deeper story, and extremely disputed in the spiritual world? Today, I want to take you on an eye-opening, dangerous, and, for many, unacceptable journey. Because what you will hear in this video challenges the structure of modern faith, confronts institutionalized theology, and exposes a spiritual war that has been hidden for centuries. Most people...
Ain't that what he told us? There's a war in heaven. Now he let them tell you they all came from heaven, they all working together. Now he's saying
people believe that the battle between good and evil comes down to angels versus demons, light versus darkness.
Check it out.
But what if I told you that there is a much older spiritual conflict fought between Yahweh, the Hebrew God, and a set of ancestral African deities known as the African Pantheon? Orunmila, Ogun, Shango, Exu. These names do not appear in the scriptures that you know. But does that mean...
Because we got rid of them, right? You know what I'm saying? It sounds good. Like I said, it's Esau. They got a black man face AI, and they bring you this knowledge, but it's from Esau. One, it's him. But if you got your head screwed on straight and you got the proper knowledge, you see, he ain't making no sense. They're supposed to be all working together, but damn, now you're telling me there's a war in heaven. Well, that's what he told us. Michael and his angels fought against them and got rid of them. There you go. He telling you right there. He can pour a strawberry jam on it, but you know, yeah. So anybody got any questions, comments on that? Okay, we go to reading through the Tanak. We're gonna go to the book of Jasher. We're gonna read chapters 11 through 15. We're gonna read chapter 11. Anitra.
Shalom. Yes, sir. Joshua chapter 11. And it came to pass when Jabin, king of Hazor, had heard those things, that he sent to Jobab, king of Madon, and to king of Shimron, and to the king of Aksah, and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains, and of the plains south of Chinnerol, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanite on the east, and on the west, and to the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah. And they went out, they and all their hosts with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore, in multitude, with horses and chariots, very many. And when all these kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Be not afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time will I deliver them up, all slain before Israel. Thou shalt huff their horses and burn their chariots with fire. So Joshua came, and all the people of war with him, against them by the waters of Merom suddenly, and they fell upon them. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them and chased them unto great Zidon and unto I can't pronounce that, and unto the valley of Mizpah eastward, and they smote them until they left them none remaining. And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him. He huffed their horses and burnt their chariots with fire. And Joshua at that time turned back and took Hazor and smote the king thereof with the sword. For Hazor before time was the head of all those kingdoms. And they smote all the souls that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe, and he burnt Hazor with fire. And all the cities of those kings and all the kings of them did Joshua take, and smote them with the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed them, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. But as for the cities that stood in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save Hazor only, that did Joshua burn. And all the spoil of these cities, and the cattle, the children of Israel took for a prey unto themselves. But every man they smote with the edge of the sword, until they had destroyed them, neither left they any to breathe. And as the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so did Moses command Joshua, and so did Joshua. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua took all that land, the hills, and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley, and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same, even from the Mount Halak that goeth up unto Seir, even unto Belgad in the valley of Lebanon, under Mount Hermon, and all their kings he took, and smote them, and slew them. And Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites and the inhabitants of Gibeon. All other they took in battle. For it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord commanded Moses. And at that time came Joshua and cut off the Anakims from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. There was none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel. Only in Gaza and Gath and Ashdod there remained. So Joshua took the whole land, according to all that the Lord said unto Moses. And Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel, according to their divisions by their tribes. And the land rested from war. That was Joshua chapter 11. Shalom.
Okay, yeah, we see right there in chapter 19, verse 19, well, the Hivites, we talked about that last week. There was not a city that made peace, that Joshua made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites. These are people that came up beating on the door for the men to come out, so they know them. Canaanites, okay? You want to read chapter 12 and 13, AJ? I'll read 13 and 14. I mean, I
Right,
read
yes.
14 and 15.
Okay. So read 12 and 13, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sir. In in Joshua 12, it says, "Now these are the kings of the land which the children of Israel smote, and possessed their land on the other side of Jordan, toward the rising of the sun, from the river Arnon onto Mount Hermon, and all the plain on the east, Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and ruled from Auror, which is upon the bank of the river Arnon, and from the middle of the river, and from half Gilead, even onto the river Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon, and from the plain to the sea of Chinneroth on the east, and onto the sea of the plain, even the salt sea on the east, the way to Beth Jezemoth, and from the south under Ash Pisgah, and excuse me, and the coast of Og, king of Bashan, which was of the remnant of the giants that dwelt at Ashtaroth and at Edrei, and reigned in Mount Hermon and in Salca and in all Bashan onto the border of the Gershurites and the Maccathites, and half Gilead, the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Then did Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the children of Israel smite. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it for possession unto the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half tribe of Manasseh. And these are the kings of the country which Joshua and the children of Israel smote on this side Jordan on the west, from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, even unto Mount Halak, that goeth up to Seir, which Joshua gave unto the tribes of Israel for a possession according to their divisions, in the mountains and in the valleys and in the plains and in the springs and in the wilderness and in the south country, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, the king of Jericho, one, the king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, one, the king of Jerusalem, one, the king of Hebron, one, the king of Jarmuth, one, the king of Lachish, one, the king of Eglon, one, the king of Jezer, one, the king of Deborah, one, the king of Gadir, one, the king of Hormah, one, the king of Arad, one, the king of Libnah, one, the king of Adullam, one, the king of Makeda, one, the king of Bethel, one, the king of Tapua, one, the king of Heifer, one, the king of Aphek, the king of Lasharon, one, the king of Madon, one, the king of Hazar, one, the king of Shimron, one, the king of Aksaph, one, the king of Tanak, one, the king of Megiddo, one, the king of Kadesh, one, the king of Jokneam of Carmel, one, the king of Dor and the coast of Dor, one, the king of the nations of Gilgal, one, the king of Tirzah, one, all the kings 30 and one. And that was Joshua 12.
Okay, so all you're looking at is, like I said in Genesis, the Lord host told Abraham, the children, he said, your seed gonna come back here because the time of the Amorites is not fulfilled. That's what Joshua doing. Joshua and Moses fulfilling what the Lord host talking about. They cutting the Amorites off and the Canaanites.
Right.
You know, 13?
Yes, sir. And it said, Joshua 13. Now Joshua was old and stricken in years. Excuse me. Joshua was old and stricken in years. And the Lord said unto him, Thou art old and stricken in years, and there remaineth yet very much land to be possessed. This is the land that yet remaineth, all the borders of the Philistines, and all Gersharai, from Syar, which is before Egypt, even unto the borders of Ekron, northward, which is counted to the Canaanite. 5 lords of the Philistines, the Gazathites, and the Ashdothites, the Escalonites, the Gittites, and the Ekronites, also the Avites. From the south, all the land of the Canaanites, and Mira, that is beside the Sidonians, onto Aphek, to the borders of the Amorites, and the land of the Giblites, and all Lebanon toward the sun rising, from Baal Gad under Mount Hermon onto the entering into Hamath. All the inhabitants of the hill country from Lebanon onto Misra, Misrephoth, and all the Zidonians, them will I drive out from before the children of Israel. Only divide thou it by lot unto the Israelites for an inheritance, as I have commanded thee. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance unto the 9 tribes and the half tribe of Manasseh, with whom the Reubenites and the Gadites have received their inheritance, whom Moses gave them, beyond Jordan eastward, even as Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave them, from Auror, that is upon the bank of the river Arnon, and the city that is in the midst of the river, and all the plain of Medeba unto Daban, and all the cities of Sion, king of the Amorites, which reigned in Heshbon, unto the border of the children of Ammon, and Gilead, and the border of the Gershurites, and the Nakathites, and all Mount Hermon, and all Bashan, unto Salca, in the kingdom of Og and Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth and in Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants, for these did Moses smite and cast them out. Nevertheless, the children of Israel expelled not the Gershurites, nor the Macathites, but the Gershurites and the Macathites dwell among the Israelites until this day. Only unto the tribe of Levi he gave none inheritance. The sacrifices of the Lord God of Israel made by fire are their inheritance, as he said unto them. And Moses gave the tribe of the children of Reuben inheritance according to their families, and their coast was from Auror, that is on the bank of the river Arnon, excuse me, and the city that is in the midst of the river, and all the plain by Medeba, Heshbon, and all her cities that are in the plain, Daban, and Bamithbal, and Bethbal Meon, and Jahaza, and Kedemoth, and Mizpah, and Kajathium, and Setmah, and Zerath, in the mountain of the valley, and Beth Peor, and Ashdoth, Pisgah, and Beth Jezemoth, and all the cities of the plain, and all the kingdom of Sion, king of the Amorites, which reigned in Heshbon, whom Moses smote with the princes of Midian, Evi, and Rakim, and Zer, and Hur, and Reba, which were the dukes of Sion, dwelling in the country. Balaam, also the son of Beor, the soothsayer, did the children of Israel slay with the sword among them that were slain by him. And the border of the children of Reuben was Jordan, and the border thereof. This was the inheritance of the children of Reuben and their families, the cities and villages thereof. And Moses gave inheritance unto the tribe of Gad, even unto the children of Gad according to their families. And their coast was Jazer, and all the cities of Gilead, and half the land of the children of Ammon, onto Aror that is before Rabbah, and from Heshbon onto Ramoth, Mitzpah, and Batanim, and from Mahanaim onto the border of Deborah, and in the valley, Beth Aram and Beth Nimrah and Sukkah and Zaphon, the rest of the kingdom of Sion, king of Heshbon, Jordan, and his border, even onto the edge of the sea of Chinnereth on the other side of Jordan eastward. This is the inheritance of the children of Gad after their families, cities, and their villages. Verse 29, and Moses gave inheritance unto the half tribe of Manasseh, and this was the possession of the half tribe of the children of Manasseh by their families, and their coast was from the Mahananim, all Bashan, all of the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and all the towns of Jr, which are in Bashan, 80 cities, and half Gilead and Ashtaroth and Adri, cities of the kingdom of Og and Bashan, were pertaining unto the children of Mashur, the son of Manasseh, even to the one half of the children of Mashur by their families. These are the countries which Moses did distribute for inheritance in the plains of Moab on the other side of Jordan by Jericho eastward. But unto the tribe of Levi, Moses gave not any inheritance. The Lord God of Israel was their inheritance, as he said unto them. And Shalom, that was Joshua chapter 13.
Okay, got any feedback on that?
What verse was that? I gotta find it. It was in the curse race. Well, okay, Brother Leonard, in verse 13, where it says these are the countries which Moses did distribute for inheritance in the plains of Moab. When it says countries, is he talking about the how you say that, the rural areas, or is he or is Israel actually more like a continent than just one nation?
Well, yeah, but actually what he's doing is the whole land of Canaan is being divided up to the Israelites. It's
Right.
almost the same what they done with at Berlin conference, what they did to Africa.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, sir. And then one this name right here in verse 13 in Joshua 13 and 13, it's like Makkah or whatever. The Kish, like one of Saul's the people from Saul's lineage, it said that Jehiel married somebody named Makkah. And I was just I was connecting that to the Hivites, because wondering if that's where Saul got the height from on the mother's side from these people.
What? Yeah. We got to search it out.
Right, yes, sir. I'll run that down. Okay.
Right. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go to anybody else got anything on that? Okay, I'll read 14 and 15. It says, and these are the countries which the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the hands of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel distributed for inheritance to them. By lot was their inheritance, as the Lord commanded by the hands of Moses, for the 9 tribes and for the half tribe. For Moses had given the inheritance of the 2 tribes and the half tribe on the other side of Jordan, but unto the Levites he gave none inheritance among them. For the children of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. Therefore, they gave no part unto the Levites in the land, save the cities to dwell in with their suburbs for their cattle and for their substance, as the Lord commanded Moses. So the children of Joshua of Israel did, and they divided the land. Then the children of Judah came unto Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, said unto him, Thou knowest the thing that the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me and thee in Kadesh Barnea. 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land, and I brought him word again as it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt, but I wholly followed the Lord my God. And Moses swore on that day, saying, Surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children's forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. And now, behold, the Lord hath kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years, even since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 85 years old. As yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now. For war both to go out and to come in. Now therefore give me this mountain, or well the Lord spake in that day, for thou heard it in that day how the Anunnaki were there, and that the cities were great and fenced. If so, be the Lord will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out, as the Lord said. And Joshua blessed him, gave unto Caleb the sons of Jephunneh Hebron for an inheritance. Hebron therefore became the inheritance of Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kizite, unto this day, because that he wholly followed the Lord God of Israel. And the name of Hebron before it was Kiriath Arba, which is Arba, which Arba was a great man among the Anakim, and the land had rest for war. So that was chapter 14. I'll read 15. The territory allotted to Judah. This then was a lot of the tribe of the children of Judah by their families, even to the border of Edom, the wilderness of Zin, southward, which was uttermost part of the south coast. And their south border was from the shores of the South Sea, from the bay that looked southward, and it went out to the south side to Malah Aqaba, and passed through along to Zin, and ascended up on the south side unto Kadesh Barnea, and passed along to Hezron, and went up to at the door, and fetched a compass to Karka. From this it passed toward Azmon, and went out unto the river of Egypt, and the goings out of that coast were at the sea. This shall be your south coast, and the east border was the South Sea, even unto the end of Jordan, and their border in the north quarters were from the bay of the sea at the uttermost part of Jordan, and the border went up to Beth Hagla, and passed along by the north of Beth Araba, and the borders went up to the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben, and the border went up toward Deborah from the valley of Achor, and so northward, looking toward Gilgal, that is, before the going up to Adumim, which is on the south side of the river, and the borders pass toward the waters of in Shemesh, and the goings out thereof were at Engregel, And the borders went up by the valley of the sons of Haman unto the south side of the Jebusites. The same is Jerusalem. And the border went up to the top of the mountain that lie before the valley of Hanan westward, which is at the end of the valley of the giants northward. And the borders were drawn from the top of the hill unto the fountain of the water of Neptoth, and it went out to the city of the Mount Ephraim, and the border was drawn to Bala, which is Kajarim, and the border compassed from Bala westward until the Mount Seir, and passed along unto the side of the Mount Jerim, which is Chashalim on the north side, and went down to Beth Shemesh and passed on to Timnah. And the borders went out unto the side of Ekron northward, and the border was drawn to Shikrim, and passed along to Mount Bala, and went out unto Jabneh, and the goings out of the borders were at the sea, and the west border was to the great sea, and the coast thereof. This is the coast of the children of Judah round about, according to their families. And unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh he gave a part among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua, even the city of Arba, the father of Anak, which city is Hebron. And Caleb drove thence the three sons of Anak, Sheba, Ahim, and Tamar, the children of Anak. And he went up thence to the inhabitants of Deborah, and the name of Deborah before was Kirah Sephar. And Caleb said, he that smiteth Kirah Sephar and taketh it, to him will I give Ashah, my daughter, to wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenash, the brother of Caleb, took it and gave him Achish his daughter to wife. And it came to pass as she came unto him that she moved him to ask of her father a field, and she lighted off her ass. And Caleb said unto her, what wouldest thou? Who answered, give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a soft land. Give me also the springs of water. And he gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah, according to their families, the cities of Judah. And the uttermost cities of the tribes of Judah toward the coast of Edom southward were Kabzeel and Eder and Joru and Kidna and Dimnah and Ada and Kadesh and Hazer and Ikanon, Ziph, Talib, Bekla, and Hazar, Hadad, Kereth, and Hezron, which is Hazar, Ammon, and Shimna, and Maladah, and Hazarah, Galath, and Heshman, and Reblet, and Hazar, Shula, and Bathsheba, and Bithla, Vola, Lim, Azim, and Etilop, and Kelzer, and Harmath, and Ziglah, and Nimadit, and Shida, Lelov, Silkin, Ain, Reman. All these cities are the 20 and 5 with their villages. And the valley of Estetal and Zara, and Ashina, and Zonath, and England, Tomath, Inna, Jeruth, Adulu, Sokol, Azagah, Sheman, Abanim, Gibra, Gibron, 14 cities with their villages. Okay, let me keep it on. I'm gonna go down to 47. Ashdod with her towns and her villages. Gaza with her towns and her villages unto the river of Egypt and the great sea and the borders thereof, and in the mountains, Shemer, Jatta, Sukkah, and Dinah, Kirana, which is Deborah, and Anah, and Eshemath, and Anam, and Goshen, and Holem, and Giluf, 11 cities with their villages. Okay, get over here. Okay, I'll read 6, start at 59. And Mathrog, and Benat, Eker, El Tika, 6 cities with their villages. Kerubal, which is Kerjarum, and Reba, 2 cities with their villages in the wilderness. Bekrabal, Midin, and Sikla, 62, Nebzin, and the cities of the salt, and Engaddi, 6 cities and their villages. Jebusites remained in Jerusalem. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Israel could not drive them out, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Judah at Jerusalem unto this day. Okay, so that was Joshua chapter 15. Okay, anybody have any comments or questions? Anything they want to bring up on that? Okay, so we just pretty much a bunch of cities that they was listing. So with that being said, we're gonna pick a scripture and we're gonna break it down. Anybody got a scripture they want to shine a light on?
Shalom. Brother. I'll go to Jubilees and which verse? This is Jubilees 5, I think.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Jubilees 8. I'm sorry, brother. Jubilees 8 and verse 18, 19, and 20. And it says, and Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy. For he has said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and may the Lord dwell in the dwelling of Shem. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies and the dwelling of the Lord. And Mount Sinai is the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These 3 were created as holy places facing each other. And he blessed the God of gods who put the word of the Lord into his mouth, and the Lord forevermore. And Shalom, that was Jubilees 8, 18, 19, and 20.
Okay. Got any feedback on that?
Well, just that it doesn't mention that this land belonged to Ham or Japhet, and it said the Lord God of Shem,
right.
not the Lord God of Shem, Ham, and Japhet.
Right, exactly. Right there, everybody, like I said, they overlooked that.
Right.
They overlooked those things. Yep. But when you go back and you catch it, then it's got a lot of significance to it. And then it actually answers a lot of questions.
Right, yes, sir. About them not being related. And when you were just reading those cities, Brother Leonard, in 57, the Canaanites, they got a city named Cain. Like, you know, why would you name a city after King unless he one of your forefathers or you revere?
Right. Exactly. He had some kind of connection with him.
Right. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. Ain't there something? Anybody else got anything else before we close out? Any comments? Questions? Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. We have our Women's Advanced Bible Study tomorrow. It's from 7 p.m. Central Time. Starts at 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. The men can come in through YouTube. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone. Good night.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.